Hey guys, how's it going? So today I wanted to review a comment. So basically, Traku Senpai left me a comment on my 7-month update here for Chinese saying, do I mind doing a dedicated review of LingQ as a resource in comparison to say Kindle, audiobook, Netflix, novels, subs, etc. I haven't used LingQ that seriously, so I would appreciate your thoughts. So that's what I want to go over today. I'm going to be going over, I think it's a great idea for a video. So I'm going to be trying my best to answer that today. I'm going to try and not go too long, but I've got quite a lot to say about this, so apologies if it goes a bit over. So quickly before I start, if you have any more questions like that you want me to make videos on, or any video ideas, anything you think would be useful, please do let me know. I'm more than happy to help you guys out, and it can give me more ideas of what I can make in the future and help me know what you guys find useful. So before I start, but comparing LingQ to other resources, I'm quickly going to go over what I think are the main positives and the main negatives. Number one thing that I love about LingQ compared to other, say, learning websites is that you can import your own content. You can import videos from YouTube, you can import Netflix subtitles, you can import ebooks, you can import articles, news articles, books, you name it, you find it, you can import it into LingQ and use that to study. So I really like that because effectively you can be choosing your own content, you can be driving by your own personal interests, and you can seek out and find stuff that you'd like. And this is really, really good. And the other thing that works really well is because LingQ has quite a lot of users, when you import a lesson, if you have audio and text and you have the appropriate tags and what else, you can choose to make the content public. And when it's public, anyone can, with access to LingQ, can go on and see all of that stuff as well. So when you go onto a popular language like, say, Spanish, Mandarin Chinese, Japanese, whatever, you've got all of this stuff already in LingQ library that you can look and try to find interesting content with. So if I go to my Spanish LingQ account here and say click on podcasts, you can then filter by what you think your level is. So you could go for, say, advanced or not advanced. And then they've got loads of subcategories down the left. So you say interested in sports, and then it comes up with some stuff that you think is relevant for you. So if you've got what you think, if you're learning a popular language as well, also looking at the LingQ library can be very useful for finding interesting content. Although having said that, I never actually use the public library that much because I prefer to find my own content that I'm personally interested in and import that into LingQ. But another thing that's available free in the public library is for most big languages, Steve has created and his team have created a bunch of mini stories designed with repetition and stuff in. So if you're just getting started in the language, and you're looking for beginner level content when you just get started, with your LingQ account you can also get access to all of the mini stories that are available for that language. And I think there's a total of 60 there, and that's also quite good if you're just looking for easy content and you want to kind of get your foot into the door, you want to start using LingQ that way. But again, I never actually used the mini stories that much. I preferred to, when I was first starting with Spanish, and I preferred to basically import in other stuff into LingQ from outside that, because the thing that I found really annoying about the way the mini stories was recorded is it asks a question and then they have an answer. And whenever the native speaker reads it, they read the question, paused for about 3 or 4 or 5 seconds, sometimes really, really long, and then said the answer to it. But that annoyed me quite a lot, so I never used the mini stories. But if it doesn't bother you, I think it's a great resource, and I definitely recommend checking that out. On the topic of importing interesting content, LingQ integrates really well with YouTube, and basically you can search for the LingQ import. You can search for the LingQ extension to Google Chrome, and you can import videos from YouTube. You can import videos, and you can import videos from YouTube that way. And basically, what it does is it will take the subtitles from the YouTube video, the audio from the YouTube video, and import it and create a LingQ lesson. And this is really what my favorite functionality of LingQ was, because with one click of a button, you can turn a YouTube video into something you can study with. You've got a transcript, you've got audio. And the integration from the website to the app is really smooth. So if you import a lesson on the website, you download the app, you can then through the app, you can then put the MP3 into a playlist on your phone, and just from one click of a button, you've not only downloaded it into the website, you've got the audio on your phone so you can listen to when you're walking to and back from uni, when you're washing the dishes, when you're doing chores in the house, whatever. And this ease of finding interesting content, importing it, and then functionality between the website and the app is really where I think LingQ's strong point is. And if you're a big fan of YouTube, you like finding videos on specific topics, then that is really powerful. And not too long ago, I made a video of how to use YouTube to learn Chinese, and I mentioned LingQ in there. I showed you how to import videos. I also showed you how to search for videos with CC along with some channel recommendations. So I'll leave that in the description for anyone learning Mandarin if you're interested. Yeah, like I said before, the way it integrates with the website and the app is really useful because you can study a video in LingQ. You can get to the point where you can understand all of it when you're reading it, and then when you're walking to uni, you can listen to the same audio over a few times in a playlist or just individually, and you can basically get that repetition while you're walking about. And the good thing, another thing about LingQ is that it's so easy to look up new words. You can just click on it with your mouse and you get what the definition is, you get what the pinyin is if it's Chinese. I think they can have hiragana and romaji, both for Japanese, and it's really easy to look up words that way. So it basically, if you're in the beginning stages of learning a language, when you're trying to access interesting content, but most things are too difficult and too far out your reach, what something like LingQ does as a platform is it puts those stuff that's too difficult for you now, puts it in a system where it's easy to look up words and easy to manage learning new words, and then it makes that accessible at a much earlier level. And I think this particularly is why I'd especially recommend LingQ at either a beginner level or an intermediate level, because I think it's really, really good for that, and it can help you push and expand your vocabulary past and access quite difficult things at a relatively early point. And along the same line of building vocabulary, one of the other things in LingQ is they have, every time you look up a known word, it moves to yellow, and it's called a link, and then you can review that as flashcards, and there's various other things you can do as well. You can do it on the website or the app. So if, say, I learnt a lesson in the morning from a specific YouTube video, I could then, when I'm on the bus to work that day and I have 5 minutes to kill, I can go on my phone on the app, I can review the links from that lesson in flashcard format and just review and refresh some of the vocabulary I studied in the morning. The good thing about LingQ is it tracks your statistics. So if you look on the website in the statistics section, you can see what's your current known word count, how many links have you made, how long have you read for, how long have you listened for, etc. And it can really give you a feeling of motivation and progression when otherwise you'd feel like you're slowing down. So say if I feel like my Chinese is in a rut and I feel like I haven't improved in the past month, and then I look at my statistics on LingQ and I see my known words has gone up by, say, 2,000, then I know that actually I've been quite active, and even though it feels like it's not improving, I am, and it's just a case of diminishing returns starting to kick in and progress is slowing down as a result of the words being less frequent. And this can help put things into perspective a bit and help you realise you are making progress even if you're not feeling like it. That's what I think most of the positive things about LingQ are. So now I want to talk about some of the negatives. So the first thing I want to talk about, and a lot of these negatives are specific to Chinese, so is the character parsing is quite bad at times. So what happens is when you import a lesson into LingQ, it's normally a block of characters and there's no spaces between words in Chinese characters. So when you import it into LingQ, LingQ tries to guess where words start and where words end. I'm not sure how the algorithm works, but they basically split words like that. And a lot of the time they get it wrong. So you can want to look up a specific word, say it's character 1 and character 2, but then it's the way LingQ's parsed it isn't like that. So if you want to look up those characters, you have to go into the lesson and edit it to edit where the spaces are before you can actually look up the characters you want. Because in LingQ, you cannot look up characters individually unless it's been parsed like that. So you can only look up combinations of characters that LingQ has parsed, which is really frustrating sometimes. Sometimes you import a video into LingQ, you know exactly how the words are supposed to be, but you can't look up the words you want to, so you just have to just live with what you can and just look up the stuff that you've got there. And that can be really frustrating. So that's a big downside if you're using it for traditional Chinese, although it's in the big picture, it's majority of it does get right, and it's nothing that's too much of an inconvenience. If you're struggling that much, you can just look up the whole phrase and it tells you a rough translation of what the phrase is or sentence, and you can kind of get it in the context that way. So one of the other problems I have with LingQ is specifically to do with reviewing with Chinese on the phone. So what's supposed to happen if I see a yellow word here, which is a link, if I left click on this,
大多数
you can see here it basically shows the pinyin for the words. So you've got the characters, you've got the text-to-speech button, you've got the definition down here, and you've got the pinyin with the tone marks. And this works really well on the computer, and it's very useful because you can just look up a word, get the pinyin and the English instantly. But if I try to do this on the phone and I look up a word, this is the screen that you get. So you can see you've got the text-to-speech, you've got the characters, and you've got the English like before, but the pinyin's missing. So, and even if you click the arrow here to expand it, again, there's still no pinyin here. So while for languages like, say, Spanish, I found when you're on the bus and commuting by train and stuff like that, using LingQ on your phone is a really good way to try and increase your vocabulary and expose yourself more. With Chinese, because it doesn't show the pinyin on the thing, which is really annoying as well, it's not quite as useful. You can still get around this if you have headphones with you, you've got text-to-speech, and I did that a lot before when I was on the tram to work. I'd look up a word, and instead of looking at the pinyin, I'd try to listen to what it sounded like through the text-to-speech. But again, that's quite annoying, and it's not the same as actually having and just being able to look at the pinyin like you can on the desktop version. And now finally, the last downside in terms of LingQ, and I think this is not so much as a negative of the platform, maybe more of a learning style sort of thing. But when LingQ's got set up, basically the normal default settings that I have is when you scroll a page in LingQ, all of the unknown words so far that I've shown up highlighted in blue automatically converted to known words, which means any word that you're not confident of the meaning on, you look up. And while I think this is very good in the early stages and the intermediate stages for going through intensively for short content to build up your vocabulary, at a more advanced level, when you want to cover more ground, it can slow you down because you feel like I have to look up every single word, I have to look up every single word in this book, otherwise it's going to convert it to known. I don't actually know the word, and it's going to screw up my statistics on LingQ. Now, you can just turn off paging moves words to known, but then I find that's even more annoying because lots of characters come up that I do know, and then I have to manually click on known for that. So that can be, if you want to cover extensive reading in LingQ and you don't want to look up every single word, you want to get used to the ambiguity, you want to get used to the feeling of not understanding things perfectly, I feel like LingQ is not ideal for this because it encourages you to look up every word. So if you compare to reading off LingQ, say with a paper book or on Kindle, then it can really help you develop the micro skill of not understanding everything perfectly but still being able to grasp the overall meaning. And this is quite useful. And the other thing as well is because it's a website and an app, you inevitably have to be staring at a screen the whole time, which compared to reading on a book or the Kindle, I find my eyes get tired a lot quicker. With Kindle, I've even sometime this month I've read for say an hour and a half with a few breaks in between on the Kindle, and it's not been that bad. If I read for an hour and a half on the computer, my eyes would want to fall out. So I really think LingQ's not ideal for covering large amounts of content and for doing extensive reading. I really feel like it's not quite as good for that. And under sort of a similar note, I want to say that LingQ is quite expensive. I mean, I think it's affordable for me, especially if you're using it every day, but if you're tight for money, $10 a month can be quite expensive. So again, if you're tight for money, then maybe it might not be ideal for you. And if you're using YouTube videos or Netflix, you can download, say, Subadub for Netflix and combine it with a pop-up dictionary, or you can just use a pop-up dictionary with YouTube, and you can use that to look at words on the fly incredibly easy. And that kind of, again, leans towards a more, it's not great for intensive study, but if you want to just watch a wide variety of content and just look up words on the fly as and when you feel like it, this is great for getting a lot of exposure, and it's free compared to LingQ. So that's really where I feel like the two come in. So that's what I feel like LingQ overall. That's what I think are the positives and negatives. So in the second part of the In the second part of the question, he basically asked me to compare it to Kindle, audiobooks, Netflix, novels, subtitles, etc. So I just want to first of all say, like I spoke about just before, I think in terms of LingQ integrating with YouTube, for using it to find free material that you can import into LingQ for dialogues and study with, I think integration is absolutely brilliant. So I wouldn't say LingQ is a replacement for YouTube or anything like that. I think I think the two work together really well. And you can do the same thing with Netflix. You can import Netflix videos and subtitles into LingQ, and you can grab the audio with something like ShareX or OBS and import that in. I'll leave a video in the description showing you how to set up ShareX for recording audio, and I'll also leave a description of me going over how to study with YouTube videos and my challenge recommendations. I'll leave that in the description as well. I really feel like the biggest difference between, say, just using stuff between Netflix and YouTube on itself as opposed to LingQ is because LingQ encourages you to look up a lot more words, which is perfect for intensive study when you want to try and really focus for a short period of time. But if you were to do that and sit there and do it all day, you'd get so tired. Where if you just wanted to chill and watch Netflix in Chinese, you could do it for say 3 hours and you wouldn't feel that tired because the words you don't know, you just kind of let them go over your head and just enjoy the story for what it is. So I really feel like it's important to balance this focus time with the more extensive study with the more extensive exposure later, which is where I like to say normally for me, I do 1 hour in the morning with intensive study, and this can be on LingQ or whatever platform you like, and then after that, when you just want to enjoy yourself and just get more extensive exposure, then you can just watch videos raw on Netflix or YouTube without going into the extra detail. As well, that the person in the comment mentioned audiobooks. Audiobooks isn't something that I've used too much before, but I would say that if you can get hold of an ebook and an audiobook, you can import them both into LingQ, and then you can have the text and the audio together, which is ideal for studying. And especially with books with short chapters for LingQ, can work really well. Again, so I wouldn't feel that as a replacement. But again, I haven't used audiobooks that much because if I'm using LingQ, I much prefer YouTube videos. But if you wanted to prefer ebooks as a medium for learning, then again, it's probably a good idea, unless if you're a very high level, then you can just listen to it for extensive exposure. If you're not, then I feel like using an ebook to try and learn with, if you don't understand much of what's going on, it's just going to go over your head. So maybe, unless you're at a high level, maybe it's better to combine it with the text and then import it into LingQ as opposed to just doing it raw. The last thing he mentioned was novels. So I guess, like I said again, LingQ is a supplement and a tool used to access, so it's used to help you understand novels. So then, how does it fit in compared to say something like the Kindle? So I'm a big fan of the Kindle. So I covered it briefly before. I think LingQ is great for more intensive exposure, but if you try to cover a lot of ground, it encourages you to look up every word, which can slow you down, and it can be straining on your eyes, which can also prevent you from reading for longer periods of time. So because it's slower to look at words on the Kindle, you'll find yourself being a lot more selective, and I hope this means you end up looking up less words overall, covering more ground, and it helps you get used to the ambiguity and the noise a bit more, which is a really powerful micro skill to develop. And also on Kindle, you can actually select full sentences and then send them to your computer later, through the clippings thing, and that can be super useful, especially if you want to integrate it with a sentence mining approach, like using something like Anki or something like that. So I think final words, I would say that overall I like LingQ a lot. I think it's very, very useful, especially in the beginner and intermediate stages when you're really trying to build up your vocabulary quite quickly and you're looking up a lot of words. It's integrating with YouTube, and you're really improving your listening and reading comprehension. I think it integrates with the app brilliantly. I think you can listen to stuff when you're on the go, and it's very, very useful. Then on the other hand, if you start to get into a high level when you want to expose yourself more, I feel like that LingQ can slow you down a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think it really is just a case of a personal preference if you prefer reading on platform A or platform B. I know a lot of people really hate the ambiguity when reading, and they can't stand any noise. And although I'd encourage people to try and get used to this, if it's really something you can't stand, then maybe sticking with LingQ is the better option. And one last thing is that it really does make it easier to access interesting content at a much earlier level. Me at the moment, I'm leaning towards extensive reading with Mandarin at the moment. I can understand like the average YouTube video when I import it fine now, and around some other certain topics, I can understand most of it quite well. So again, I'm just trying to keep on improving that with extensive exposure, and I'm going to try and read as much as I can, which is why I've trended to lean towards Kindle at the moment instead of LingQ. So I hope that was useful, Traku Senpai, if I've pronounced your handle correctly. And if anyone has any other questions they'd want me to cover, then please let me know. I'll be more than happy to help out if I can. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.